Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am super excited for this video because I'm going to be trying a palette that I've wanted to try for a really long time, and that is the Beaute Oceanic palette. I actually did not purchase this, which leads me to my little intro that today's video is a collaboration with my really good friend here on YouTube, Karen Harris. We were talking and there was a palette that she really wanted to try that I owned, and she had this one which I really wanted to try, and then she also let me the Pat McGrath little quad here, which I already did a dupe video on. If you're curious, I can link it down below. So we just did like a little switcheroo and we wanted to go ahead and film it. So I've been waiting to try out this palette for this video. And honestly, me and Karen are the most chill procrastinators ever because we've been meaning to do this video since I want to say March or early April. Around that time is when we sent each other the boxes. And here we are in November, finally posting it. So if you're not already familiar with Karen, she is a absolute sweetheart, truly, like she is in person who you see online, and she's such a good friend. She just has an amazing personality in my opinion, and she does a lot of videos focused on whether products are tan girl friendly. I love what she's bringing to YouTube. I feel like her content is important but fun, and I highly recommend checking her out if you haven't already. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in. I know so many of y'all have asked me for my thoughts on this palette, and I've tried palettes from Beaute in the past and I didn't love the formula, but I heard that they reformulated, so I'm really curious to give this a chance because it is a stunning color story. It's a mixture of blues and greens, and it's just so pretty to look at. So this is almost a test run because if I try it and I absolutely love it, I might end up purchasing it. I think I want to go ahead and start off by doing some swatches. I feel like I say this every day at this point, but somebody in my neighborhood is obsessed with mowing their lawn. So if you hear that in the background, I'm so sorry. But the first shade here is called Bora Bora. I feel like this is the shimmer shade I'm the most excited about. It looks like the prettiest light blue. Really stunning. The texture just feels kind of like a thicker, creamy metallic. And then we have the shade Jellyfish, which looks like a kind of like golden olivey shade. That one, again, is kind of like a thicker metallic, but it just looks kind of satiny. Like it's not that intense just swatching it. And then we have Mykonos, which is such a beautiful, like, vibrant green. I feel like these shimmers aren't going to be my favorite because, like, the texture is, like, very, like, thick. Like, it doesn't feel very emollient. There's other thick, creamy shimmers that I absolutely love, like the Cindy Grace ones, the Tammy Tanuka ones. Those are, like, more on the thick side. But these just feel, like, stiff. Okay, next we have a matte cobalt blue called Oh, it's Blue Clam. I was about to say Blue Glam, but there's what that looks like. Texture feels, you know, a little bit on the drier side, but obviously very pigmented. We have Pacific, which looks to be a deep pigmented black. I'm pretty sure it's a black. And then we have Bali, which again is such a beautiful shade. Looks like the most stunning pastel blue. Okay. You know what? I feel like that shade actually is quite green. Like as I blend it out, I can see the green undertones more, but on first touch it looks black. Okay, next we have the shade Fiji, which is like a teal matte. We have Turtle, kind of deep green, Marina, which just looks like a deeper smoky blue. I really don't like the way these metallics are feeling. The mattes look alright though, but it's obviously just how they blend. That's what's more important, is how it goes on the eyes. Okay, next we have the shade Bay, which looks like a really beautiful cobalt blue shimmer. We have Anemone, which looks quite similar to Jellyfish actually. I mean, this one's a little bit more of a dirty olive, but kind of similar. And then we have the shade Algae, which looks to be like a really beautiful, bright lime green. Ooh, Algae looks really nice. Okay, last but not least, we have the shade Seaweed, which that one actually feels kind of creamy. That's a really beautiful olive tone. We have Seagrass, which is a mid-tone green matte, and then Lagoon, which is an extremely pigmented navy. Like, I feel like I barely even touched that. Oh, that shade like perfectly matches my nail polish. I think this is 11 from Lights Lacquer, but there we go. That feels so dry. It's not funny, but it was very, very pigmented. So there's the palette swatched out. I honestly don't know how I feel about it yet from Swatches. I think the color story is stunning, but I'm just curious to get this on my eyes. I already went ahead and primed my eyes with the Chrome Pebble eyeshadow primer in the shade Parchment. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do for this look is I'm going to start off, and on this eye, I'm going to blend the shadows the way that I normally would, which would be going from the lightest to the darkest. And if it doesn't work out or it starts getting patchy, I'm going to try on this side to go from the darkest to the lightest, because that's what works best with the other Ace Beaute palettes that I've tried. So let's go ahead and start off with the shade Bali. I literally have no plan at all of what I'm doing today, but that shade just looks really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and start it off in my crease. Oh man. Okay. That is so light and gray. Let's see if that builds up a little bit. You know what? That reminds me a lot of the shade that I hated in the Nikkie Tutorials palette with Beauty Bay. This one's building up a little bit more, but it just looks funny. Alright, I guess I'm going to go ahead and dip into a little bit of the shade Fiji next. And I'm going to put that right into my crease. Okay, that looks alright. Pigmentation is good. It looks smooth so far. Not too shabby. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dip into the shade Pacific with a really small brush, Sigma E36, and I'm going to pop that on my outer V. Not having any issues. I do feel like overall the look looks so much more tamed down on my eyes than like in the palette, the color story at least so far, but it looks like it's blending all right. That Pacific shade definitely shears out a lot on the eyes. It looks very, very green. I think I might even go ahead and dip into a little bit of the shade Lagoon just for something different with that same brush and pop that on the outer V. Oh, there it is, that blue. Do you see that? It's just completely blending off. Let me try a little bit more. I mean, it doesn't look like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, but you can tell it's definitely patchy. Okay, I'm gonna go into the brush that I used with the teal shade and just lightly blend over the edge. And then I'm gonna go ahead and, let's see, I'm gonna start off with the shade Mykonos. Put that all over my lid. At least on the outer half of my lid. And I decided to go in with my finger just because I feel like a brush is not going to pick this formula up pretty well, but even on my finger, I don't know if you can tell, like it's just, I don't love it. The color is beautiful. Just don't love the way it feels or looks. It's just not my personal preference. Whew. There's been a death in the family, you guys. I think my pillow talk is, it's done. Man. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm gonna take the shade Bora Bora. I'm gonna put that on the front of the lid. That's really pretty. I really like that shade. I am getting quite a bit of fallout. So there's where we're at. It doesn't look absolutely terrible, but I don't love it. I mean, I love the color story, but just like the outer V is not my favorite. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. Same thing on the other side, like I said, in reverse. So I'm going to start off with Lagoon and pop that on my outer V. Just placing it down where I want it. I mean, obviously, the outer V looks a lot better right now on that side. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe that brush off, and I'm going to dip into the shade Pacific and just blend over the edge with that. I'm going to go into a little smaller crease brush, and again I'm going to take that shade Fiji. I'm going to put it right into my crease. Ooh, that's really pretty. Just building it up a little bit, and then I'm going to blend that over the outer V area very lightly. That looks so much more vibrant, which of course could happen because I don't have the pastel underneath on that side, but I'm going to go ahead and go into the first brush that I used on this side, and I'm going to dip into the shade Bali, and I'm going to use that to blend over the edge. It's actually kind of amazing how much better this side looks. I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing with my fingers. I'm going to start off with Mykonos. Just popping that in the middle. And then going into the shade Bora Bora. Okay, so I feel like I really need to go back into my outer V brush and just blend this a little bit right here. Okay, so for the lower lash line, I think I'm going to start off with a little bit of the shade Lagoon just to connect. Oh my god. I just dropped Pillow Talk again. It's really dead now. Wow, I can't believe I just did that. Okay, I'm taking Lagoon on the outer third of the lower lash line. And then I'm going to go ahead and dip into the shade Seagrass right next to that. Put that on. I don't even want to say the middle exactly, probably like the outer third quarter of the lower lash line, and just blending it in a little bit. And then I cannot help myself, I'm going to go ahead and dip into the shade Algae. Pop that along the entire front of the lower lash line. Alright, so really quickly, I feel like I need to do something fun on the inner corner. I'm actually going to go ahead and dip into the Violet Voss Sugar Crystals palette because I have it right beside me. And I'm going to take this shade right here called Limeade. It's just a really soft mint. Look how pretty that is. Actually just bringing that up just a little bit. For liner, I'm going to go into the Beauty Bay liner in the shade Blue Skies. It's just like a really beautiful light blue. And actually I mentioned that I thought this might be a dupe for ColourPop Prance, which is no longer available. So let me swatch those really quickly because I got requested to do that in my video on Beauty Bay. So there's ColourPop Prance. It's actually a little bit less pastel, but they are pretty similar. I'm going to go ahead and throw on some mascara and I'll be right back. For blush, I'm going to go into the Hourglass Luminous Flush Blush in the shade Ambient. Just looks like this. It's a very, very light pale pink. For highlighter, I'm going to use what's left in my Pillow Talk. Okay, lastly for lips today, I'm going to go into the We Makeup Even lip pencil in the shade You Mile, and the same for their You Mile lipstick as well. Alright guys, so this is the finished look, and I do really like how it turned out. I feel like the color story of this palette is really stunning, just as I thought it would be. I don't think I'm actually going to go ahead and purchase it for myself after I give this back. I just feel like I prefer my Menagerie Whale Song palette, and I prefer the way that it looks on this side, blended out from deepest to lightest shade, which is not how I normally like to do my makeup. I mean, if this was the only palette that I owned, like, yes, of course, I feel like I could definitely make it work, but I just have my personal preference. I like to blend this way, and the metallics in here really are not my favorite. I feel like there's so many better formulas out there, which makes this an easy skip, but I do think that it's really pretty. I like the finished look. I'm glad that I was able to give it a little test run. So that's pretty much everything for today's video. Don't forget to go ahead and check out Karen's video. She's going to be trying one of the Natasha Nona 28 pan, like $200 palettes that I personally got in a Beautylish Lucky bag. Did not pay full price for that, but she's trying it out and giving her opinion on if it's worth the money or not. So I'll have her video linked down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.